First off, Susan, hello.
Hi, Dawn.
So the first question I want to ask you is if you could tell everybody kind of a little bit about where you were before you decided to start this program, before you started working with me. What was your story?
My story was that I felt like I was addicted to food. I had developed, I'd gone from being just an emotional eater when I was just stressed out to every single day in the evening, afternoon and evening, binge eating. And I couldn't seem to stop. And I really was scared that as I watched the scale go up and I saw my numbers on my blood work go from a normal range to an abnormal range, I was really scared that I wasn't going to be able to turn it around and wasn't and any effort I had made on my own part, I would only last a day or two and then I would just go right back to the binge eating. So I was scared. I was really scared for my health, for my weight, but mostly for my health. I mean, I didn't look good, but I also didn't feel good, and I was scared that I was just shortening my lifespan and the quality of my life because of the way that I was eating, but I couldn't seem to stop.
And how long were you caught in that?
Oh my goodness. I have been struggling with food and using food to take care of emotional needs for probably 40 years, but I would say probably the worst of it has been the last maybe 3 to 5 years where I've really gotten into the just everyday binge eating.
Right. And just quickly before we move on to the next question, do you mind telling people kind of what you tried, all the different things that you tried to try to get this under control?
Oh my goodness. Probably everything that everyone else has also tried. I've done the Lindora program. I've done Jenny Craig. I've done Weight Watchers. I'm trying to think, gosh, what else? I've read a million books on, how to eat healthy, how to lose weight. Uh, it wasn't until I read the book about, what's it called, Don? The one about binge eating, mindful eating for binge eaters. Is that what's
Yeah,
called?
eat what you love what you eat for binge
Eat for
eaters.
binge eaters. That was the one that really spoke to me. And it was in that book that I found the website and went to the website, and that's where I found you I call you my nutrition therapist.
So since deciding to, do this for yourself and enroll in the program and work with me one-on-one in coaching, what has changed for you?
I feel like I'm finally in charge of my life again. I don't like to use that word control. I know they really frown on it in the book, but I feel like I'm back in charge of my life. And what I loved about working with you, my therapy sessions, as I call them, is I realized it wasn't just about the food. In fact, the food was just kind of like that one of the symptoms of the fact that everything was out of balance in my life and that I wasn't taking care of my own needs, and I was trying to use food to take care of them, which of course it wasn't, because the needs were more emotional, spiritual, mental, as well as physical. Um, so I kind of lost track of where it was. What was your question again? I kind of lost track.
Just what's changed since we started working
Oh yeah,
together?
I just feel like I I realize now that when I'm hungry, when I want to eat and I'm not hungry, I realize that there's a need that isn't being taken care of, and that food isn't the answer unless it's true hunger. And if it's not true hunger, which most of the time it's not, then I need to figure out what is it that I need, and I need to address that need. That's probably one of the biggest changes I've made in my life.
Hmm, good. So before we move on to the next one, can you tilt your camera down a little bit? We're losing it. There you are. Okay. So now that you're graduating and you've just finished your 16 weeks, what are you most excited about looking forward into your life now, being at the place you are now and knowing the things you know and having the tools that you have now? What are you most excited about?
I think not having that love-hate relationship with food anymore, where I loved it, but it also scared me to death. That eating no longer scares me. I'm excited that I'm losing the desire, little by little, the desire to eat the bad stuff. I spend so much time just thinking about food. What am I going to buy? What am I going to eat? And then feeling guilty afterwards because I ate it and I overate. I'm excited to take all that energy and put it into other things like special projects I want to work on, relationships I want to pursue. I think it's just given me a sense of freedom from food, whereas food is becoming just food. It's losing that power that it once had over me.
You know, kind of touching on that, on, you know, you're saying that sense of freedom, and literally every single one of my clients, about halfway through or by the time they graduate, say something of like, I can never go back. I can never go back to that old way of eating, of thinking. And you mentioned to me last week on our last call that you kind of had that moment of realizing that too. So can you kind of tell everybody a little bit about that realization, and what does that mean to you? What does never going back mean to you?
It doesn't mean that I'll be perfect in my eating forever, that I'll never overeat, or they'll never, like I said, eat something that I maybe isn't the most healthy. But I can never go back to the binge eating where I was literally doing it every single night. I don't know, I think it's because of all the education that you gave me and all the delving that we did into my fears and my background, my growing up years, and why am I doing this? I think once you understand why you're doing it and you get all that knowledge and all the tools that you've given me, I just don't think, I don't know, you just can't go back, because it's like, you now know what it's all about. You know why you're doing it, you know what you can do instead, you have tools to navigate, so you just can't go back. It's, you know, once you get that knowledge, you just can't go back and pretend like you don't know, because you do.
You know, because you did struggle with this for so long, you know, for 40 years. And, you know, you tried so many things before you finally called me. And I remember on our first call, you were like, I have to do this. There's no other option. Like, this has to change. And you were kind of at that place where you're ready to make a shift. So what would you say to somebody who's in that similar place, who is suffering, who, you know, has done diet after diet after diet, who's starved themselves, abused themselves with food, and doesn't see a way out, and just wants to change their life? They're hearing about coaching, they may be watching this video, and there's something in them that is like, oh, I want to do this, but they're scared. They're scared of the commitment. They're scared of actually making a change. They're scared of the investment. They're scared that they won't be able to do it. What would you say to somebody who's in that place?
I would say I probably felt every feeling that you're feeling right now. I was scared when I first started, because I didn't think that I could live my life without the crutch of food. That whenever something went wrong, or I got upset, discouraged, lonely, frustrated, angry, whatever, that I couldn't reach for food. I was scared that I would not be able to cope with my life without food. Food had become like my best friend, but it was also my worst enemy. So know that you can, that you will relax, and that food will become less important to you. But you just have to trust yourself and trust Dawn that this program works. There was something else I wanted to say about that. Matt, you know, you can do a million other diets, but if you don't find out why, you might think you know why you're overeating, but I didn't really get it to the depth of that I did once I worked with Dawn. If you don't get to the real reasons why you're overeating, and really change your thinking and your relationship with food, every diet you go on, you may lose weight, you may lose all of it, but you will always put it back, because you're not fixing the reasons why you put it on in the first place. So this is where the buck has to stop, because you have to change your thinking. You have to. Otherwise, you're just spending your wheels and money and time on diets that may work temporarily, but they're not a permanent solution. And that yo-yoing on your body is really hard on your health.
Right.
The 16 weeks is about changing, rewiring your brain completely. And the change is very slow, because you're not doing something drastic like what you would do on a diet, where you all of a sudden go to 500 calories a day, and, you know, or zero carbs, or whatever the latest phase. Now it's the keto, I guess, that's the big phase around South Orange County, is everyone's on the keto diet. how they can stay on that long term. I mean, they all look like they've lost 1,000,000 pounds, but it's like, who can live like that? It's not, it's not healthy and it's not sustainable. But I think people have to realize when they start this, it's not a diet. It's changing how you think about food and your relationship with food. And then ultimately the weight will come off little by little as you eat differently, as you exercise more, drink more water and so on. But it's not a quick fix, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So would you recommend somebody just do it?
Just do it. Yeah. Just tell yourself, I'm going to overcome, this struggle with food. I'm going to finally have peace in my life again.
So would you say that you're glad you did this and that you're proud of yourself for all you've done and that it was worth it, even though it was hard sometimes? Was it worth it? Absolutely.
I wish I had. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a coach to begin with years ago, and not just until recently. I wish years and years ago, I had done this program, long before I ever got, put as much weight on as I did. So yeah, I definitely, and it's great to know that I can, if I start to slip a little bit, or I start to get insecure, or I go through a real traumatic experience, heaven forbid, but life happens. It's nice to know that I can call you and say, hey, I kind of need to get my head screwed back on straight, and know that you're there, and that the videos and I have the books, and I plan on rereading the books and the workbooks, over and over again, because it takes a while to get those tools kind of in your head so that you just go to them naturally. Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely worth it. And then know that it's a long-term, forever, resource is what I'm trying to say.
Right. And so for those of you who might not know what Susan's talking about, everyone who graduates my program gets lifelong access to me. So it doesn't matter if you graduate and 3 years down the road, you find yourself struggling, you can always book more calls with me if you need help, if you just need a tune-up. And you always have lifelong access to the course materials. So Susan can go back and watch the videos again, access, the workbooks, all of that. She can access that 2, 3, 5 years down the road if she just needs a reminder. So this is a lifelong, partnership that, I'm in Susan's corner for the rest of her life. She can always call me, no matter what, that I'm going to be here for her. And that's something that, if you choose to do the program, that resource will be there for you too. So, so Susan, just to kind of wrap up, is there anything you would like to say, not question prompted, just would you like to say anything on this day of your graduation?
Just a really big thank you. I really feel like you saved my life. I mean, I don't want to get emotional, but I mean, if I had kept on going the way I was going, I could have been prone to a heart attack or a stroke or goodness knows what. I mean, because the scale was climbing anywhere from 2 to 3, sometimes 4 pounds a week. I mean, it was just horrendous. It was just a horrible, horrible situation. And I truly feel like you have saved my life. So I thank you for that.
It has been my absolute pleasure working with you, and I'm so proud of you and how far you've come. You overcome so much. Like, I wish I could tell everybody how much this woman has accomplished. Like, it just makes my heart burst with pride of how far she's come. And, she came up against some pretty tough walls sometimes. And, there were some times that she was like, I don't know if I can do this. And we worked together and we used the tools, and she never let go of my hand, and she kept working and she kept going. And now look at this absolutely beautiful, shining, beaming woman who's at the end of the program, and she did it. And she's now saying, I can't ever go back. And she's excited about life now. So that's what this is all about. That's what this program is. And this is exactly why I do what I do and why I love doing this all day, every day. I get to work with beautiful women like Susan and watch them just completely transform before my eyes. And it is an honor and a pleasure to do that. And it has been an absolute beautiful experience to do that with you, Susan. So,
thank you.
So with that, I'm going to sign off. So everybody, if you want to have an experience similar to Susan, if you're in a place like Susan is or was, no longer is, if you're in a situation kind of like Susan was, and you're ready to ask for help and you're ready to get out of this and to change your life, you know, I am always open for, you know, you can take a call, book a call with me, and let's talk about it, and let's take that step and see if this program's right for you, and if you can have, you know, that transformation that you so badly want, which I know you can. Everybody can. You just have to decide, you have to commit, you have to show up. And so if you're ready to do that, this program can change your life. And I look forward to talking to you. So Susan, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'll miss you, Dawn.
I'll miss you too, but you can always call me.
I'll send you a text and keep you informed on how I'm doing.
Sounds beautiful. All right, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.